The following is a presentation of iRacing.com motorsport simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Michigan International Speedway, the 2016 Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series continues tonight on LSRTV and iRacing Live as we get set for round number 18 and the second to last race in round of 12 at a Domino's Chase Grid. Live tonight from Brooklyn, Michigan. We get set to go racing for the Hoylman Auto Repair 200. Good evening, sim racing fans. We're happy to have you with us at LSRTV. As always, myself, Evan Pasoko, joined by Daniel Eberhardt in the broadcast booth, along with Cisco Scarbuzza downstairs. Dan, Michigan International Speedway, a fun track. We've had the opportunity to see it a couple of times here on the sim the last week as the Nascar Sprint Cup Series guys were there over the past weekend. It is a big track and it is a very fast track. 2 miles in length. It's a D-shaped oval, and we're going to be looking at speeds in excess of 205 miles an hour down into turn number 1. These guys are going to have plenty of time over the course of tonight, though, to get things figured out. 100 laps at Michigan. Going to be a good race length tonight.
Yeah, it is going to be a good race length, and like you said, Evan, it's fast. It's a late afternoon race here tonight, so it's going to be a good, fast racetrack. You'll see speeds going off into turn 1 at 210. That's the top speed I've seen in qualifying right now. It's 210 going off into turn 1, so it's a momentum-based racetrack. It's going to be fun to watch.
It finds us in an interesting place in this championship fight. Justin Faulkner is the only driver right now who has his ticket punched into the championship round of 8, which will be coming up at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, actually, in what will be about 4 weeks' time. You take a look at the Domino's TYJ Chase Grid. 12 drivers, now down to 11 drivers. Happy to race through tonight here at Michigan International Speedway. Phoenix, once again, in 2 weeks' time. You have to make the top 8 cuts, so 4 of those 11 drivers are going home. Win and you're in is very crucial. And still, though, this chase for the championship, Danny, we look at the chase grid, 3 rounds, we go 16 to 12, and then to the championship in 8. We're 1 round short of what you would see on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series side of things. And the reason I bring that up is because when we see other series that have that full Cup Series championship grid, is that when you go from 16 to 12 drivers, the bar is not set that high. Get top 10 finishes, you should be good to go. But normally it's the cut from 8 down to 4 where things get serious. That doesn't happen, so to get out of this contender round of 12, sure, the odds are more against you after sending home 4 of 12 drivers as opposed to what we did earlier when Robert McFarland, Brusco, David May, Philip Meyer were eliminated 4 of 16. But it is still not that extreme. It's not you have to win or you're going to go home. I think that if these guys can come into tonight and next week and just get top 10s, they should be good. The issue is going to be, I think, more so staying out of trouble than having a super exceptional run.
Yeah, like you said, Evan, it's going to be about keeping your nose clean out there and just finishing these last 2 races, Michigan and Phoenix. It's one of them deals you just got to relax and just stay calm, cool, and collected, and you can get like you said with the 4, you go down to 4 in real life. So in virtual racing and dominoes, they're going to go down to 8. So it's gonna like take the pressure a little ways away from drivers, because it's like this. There's so much separation that Curtis Young, I expect to win tonight. He's the driver I'm going to pick to win, so I would see him going into the next round. It's just about the guys that, can easily get a top 10. That's going to be where you need to finish, is just running the top 10 and then go on to the next round.
That next round going to be a completely different deal, because that's going to be 8 drivers, 1 race. Best finisher of those 8 wins the championship. But we've already eliminated 4 drivers in the round of 16. We continue through the contender round of 12 here tonight from Michigan. We get set to go racing for the 3rd to last race on the 2016 calendar. And with that, the qualifying session has drawn to a close, and we get set to go green flag racing. Cars are on track. We take a look at tonight's Domino's TYJ starting lineup for round number 18. Talking about the one and only driver who knows that he'll be battling for the championship in 4 weeks' time, and that driver is looking for another win. He wants to go back-to-back. He starts in the best possible position. It's pole position for Justin Faulkner, a 37.020. Can roll at number 50, but off of pole position. He'll be joined on the front row by fellow championship competitor, the number 70 of Mike Donahue. Joshua Ramos will start tonight in third position. That's the same spot that he occupied in the earlier practice session tonight. Big improvement, though, in qualifying trim for Justin R. Anderson. He'll start outside row number 2 in the number 4 position. Running on our top 5 is another familiar name. It's the 19 of Curtis Young.
Rolling off 6th tonight is Gary Weston in the 14 machine, and then you got 7th, Curtis Aho, one of your chase contenders right now, starting 7th, and then 8th is Judd Danielson, 9th is Lynn McNeese, and 10th is Tyler Roberts, also another chase contender in the Budweiser Chevrolet.
Steve Cunningham going to be exactly where he was in practice. He'll start 11th position tonight, joined on row number 6 by the 20 of Eric Hawk. Joe Owen starting in the unlucky number 13 starting position tonight with Ryan Stoniker. Alongside him in 14th position, Robert McFarland's 41 is 15th.
16th in the 420 is Russ Coe, 17th Gerald Heffley, 18th Jim Locking, 19th David Gainforth, and 20th is Michael Fravor.
Final driver to take a time in qualifying, starting 21st tonight, is that Salvador Sanders. Rest of the drivers qualifying in on provisionals. Going all the way through row number 13, look like this. 22nd, Philip Meyer, Ray Richard 23rd, Ellery Queen 24th, with Dennis Cook 25th, and Chad Payne in 26th position. That's a look top to bottom at your Domino's TYJ starting grid. The field rolls down to turn number 1. We talked a little bit more about some of the specifics of this Michigan International Speedway. As we've noted, this racetrack located in Brooklyn, Michigan. It's been around since 1968. It hosts NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Camping World Truck Series action, as well as ARCA Racing Series. The track itself, though, is 2 miles in length. It's a D-shaped oval. You might think the answer would be Daytona or Talladega when you talk about the fastest track on the schedule. No, that's right here at Michigan, Dan.
Yeah, it's a racetrack that you don't have a restrictor plate on, and nothing restricts you from going as fast as you can. And you're going to see speeds, like we said earlier, up to 210 going into turn 1, and the draft's going to make that even faster tonight. And definitely with a late afternoon, a grippy racetrack, it's Michigan International Speedway, and I believe this is the fastest track in all of sim racing.
We get set to continue our quest for a championship. The 5th race on the Domino's TYJ Chase starts here tonight. Following this, just 2 races remain, both of which elimination races in that bid for a title fight. It's round number 18, and we're happy to have you with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of the pit lane as the field comes out of turn number 4. At a 51 of Justin Faulkner going to be in control of the field. He'll head into the tri-oval. He'll collect the American Ethanol green flag. We're underway from MIS for the Hoylman Auto Repair 200. Green flag in the air to turn number 1. The 51 Chevrolet going to lead the way.
Yeah, great jump for Justin Faulkner into turn 1. Then you look back behind him, and they're all spreading out back there. You got the 24, the 14, the 85, all racing for position back there. Then you got the 16 of Justin Anderson looking to the outside of Curtis Young down the back straightaway.
Everybody trying to get things sorted out as soon as possible, but definitely these restarts at Michigan are the best opportunities to make a move. It's a very wide racetrack. Expect these guys to utilize that off of the drop of the green flag. Issues behind your race leaders, though, in turns 3 and 4. Drivers going to scatter low. They can't get out of the way in time. Robert McFarland going to get tagged as the 41 slides down the racetrack. Caution flag is out at lap number 1.
Yeah, I think that was one of them situations right there. The 84 machine goes off into 3 and 4, gets a little bit loose. Everybody's trying to check up behind him. Then you get the 86 of Steve Cunningham all into the rear bumper of the 85 machine, which sends him spinning. The 6 car had nowhere to go of Joe Owen right there, and then it leads to a big crash right there. And it sends the 85 actually up into Robert McFarland in the middle of 3 and 4 right there, and they all just go spinning in 3 and 4.
Talking about guys trying to get everything they can off of the drop of the green flag. It was a lot of junk down into the corner. Again, Judd Danielson, the driver at the start of that hole, up into the fence. And I think the biggest issue was simply because it was just lap number 1, the drivers were so tightly packed together, the 2 wide throughout the field from there on back. Actually, I think more drivers get collected in the accident for guys that were just trying to find a way through on the bottom and couldn't get by with all of those cars sliding down the hill, as opposed to the 4 or 5 cars, I think, that were caught up in the first bit of contact. It does slow things down, though, just at lap number 2. Pit road going to be open this time by race leaders, at least up front, inside of the top 10, not electing to come down pit road. Looks like the first taker pit side may be Ryan Stoniker from 12th.
Yeah, and that's a good decision by the 48. Just come down, get that front end fixed a little bit, get your damage fixed early in the race. You know there's going to be more cautions, but going back to that wreck right there, Evan, the track may be wide. People get on here and think, yeah, you can go all the way to the wall. Well, that's not very so, because if you go down, you don't want to hit the very bottom lane, because the seam and everything is really loose down there and it will mess you up. You have to really pretty much run. It's a one-lane racetrack, and the middle lane's where you want to stay here at Michigan. So it's one of them situations where driver got loose ahead of him and just a big checkup, which caused that big wreck.
Those drivers who come down pit road, obviously a couple of guys, as we noted, I saw 12th position Stoniker down pit road, also from 14th position Gerald Heffley coming down pit road. They go with some 4 tires and fuel. It's going to drop them, I think, about 5 or 6 spots in the overall running order when they drift back up onto the racetrack, if you will, get set to go back green flag racing. Obviously, the drivers involved in that accident going to be headed pit side as well. Those drivers going to be down for much longer lengths of time. The likes of Ellery Creed, Russ Coe, Robert McFarland, Joe Owen, Chad Payne, a couple of other names, Judd Danielson, Len McNeese, the names that are on pit road right now. Just tells you how many, about 6 or 7 cars total from that accident caught up in this one. So just 3 laps in now of 100 on the night. Justin Faulkner had no issues getting off and getting going, if you will, on the drop of the green flag. Big mover, though, on the start of that one. Curtis Young started 5th. He'll jump up to 3rd position. He'll restart to the inside of run number 2 in the number 3 position. Curtis Young, a name that we've talked about many a time so far in this 2016 calendar. Winner from Fontana and Texas, back-to-back wins just a handful of weeks ago. He's a driver with 6 total wins on this 2016 campaign, and is used to being the one that is being chased. And yeah, Justin Faulkner, I guess, is the driver in that seat right now, Daniel, because obviously with that win, automatically locked himself into the final round of the championship. You look back, though, to Kentucky, Curtis Young with a 3rd place result. Nothing to hang his head about. He knows, though, that anything could happen in these next 2 races, and I think he, like everybody else, just wants to get the win, put that pressure behind them, so he can go in the Phoenix with kind of a clear mindset and have to let everybody else worry about all the what-ifs, because Phoenix is a much shorter track than Michigan, obviously, enough to the point where you could really consider it a short track, and short tracks tend to be a little bit more hectic, involve a little bit more contact. You don't want to be in a position to have any doubts going into that race. Faulkner, he's good. His job right now, started on pole position, leading the race right now, is to make sure nobody else gets a free pass. And if he can keep Curtis Young at a victory lane, possibly put Curtis Young into a tricky spot into that last race, that's the best thing that 51 machine can do for his own championship hopes.
Yeah, the 51 just needs to focus and try to take all these wins away from everybody else in the whole field. But the Curtis Young deal, he needs to just ride around, pretty much, because all he needs to do is make it into the last round at Charlotte and then try to get it done there. And he's pretty good there. He's been a Truck Series champion this season already. Maybe he can get it done again for the Sprint Cup Series championship.
Restart going to be underway. It's going to be the first restart on the night, lap number 4. Green flag back in air for Justin Faulkner. Not as big of a jump out of the gate as the last time. He comes under the flag stand. We'll go back down to turn number 1. Green flag back in the air. Get up to speed already at 170 miles an hour. 51 going to step up the hill. Try to arc it into the quarter. Curtis Young looked about going to the inside. Not going to happen, but it does take second away from Mike Donahue.
Yeah, what a good restart for Curtis Young there to get up to second right there. Then you look behind him, you got the 70 of Mike Donahue, you got the 22 of Joshua Ramos, and then you got a side-by-side battle back there going into turn 3 and 4 with Curtis Aho and Justin Anderson right there. Justin Anderson down to the inside in the preferred lane, coming out of 4. Doesn't look like he's going to get a good run. The 38 actually gets a well of a run down the front straightaway here, and he's going to actually clear the 16 at the start-finish line.
The banking on the front stretch here at Michigan is 12 degrees. While most racetracks do have some banking, not a lot of them are just 6 degrees off of the banking in the corner. So normally outside of the racetrack will give you a huge run down the banking which would give you the advantage. It's kind of tricky to navigate what part of the corner you want to be on an exit, because the inside, about one lane up off of the bottom, is right on board with the number 16 machine. This time around of Justin Anderson as he tries to again battle for position to 38, though going to be able to kind of run away with this one. That's Curtis Aho at a battle for 5th position. Aho going to go to the inside actually of that number 22 machine. Top side of the racetrack, Joshua Ramos going to lose a lot of speed. He'll drop back to P6. You can give Anderson P5, and that 38 machine goes right back down to the inside bottom lane. Bottom really isn't the bottom, though. It's right above that first seam of the racetrack, about 8 feet off of the inside line.
Yeah, and looking back behind him, you got Tyler Roberts. Got really tight off of turn 2 right there. That's going to open the door for Jimmy Locking right there, going into the inside corner right there in 3 and 4. He's going to take the spot away, put Jim Locking up to P8.
It's what you can early. Drivers who started outside of the top 10 already making their way forward. How about that 8 of Tyler Roberts started 10th position, side by side that time at the line with Locking. Locking who had the nose advantage, tries to get that spot. The 8 machine does look like he has a little bit of left rear damage. Not sure if that's really hurting the Budweiser Chevrolet at all. It is going to cost him that battle for position though, so Locking does end up getting the spot. How about just behind him, 2 wide, 2 rows deep, and leading it all is Michael Fravert. He's already up 10 spots after starting in 20th position. The 48 Ryan Stonecker challenges him way to the outside.
Yeah, in the 48, remember he was the guy that came down first right there on pit road. He was the pretty much only guy that came down right there. You know, he had a couple other drivers behind him. He's actually cleared them down the back, down the front straightaway. The 36 of Michael Fravert. Then you got the 14 of Gary Weston looking to his outside. He wants nothing of it. The 36, and they all single file out going through turn 1 and 2.
Restarted this race back in the number 11 position off of the restarts. He's now back inside the top 10. That 36 of Fravert, who was the biggest mover, may still be the biggest mover, who is up 10 positions, is only up 9. He may drop back now another spot because Gary West into the inside. The 14 Ford, nice clean move, gets the job done in 3 and 4.
Yeah, he does get the job done, but if you look up ahead of him, it looks like Michael Fravert doesn't want anything of it again. He wants to take that 14 back down to the inside, but he looks nothing of it. You got the 44 looking below the 20 of Eric Hawk. Ray Richard to the inside of Eric Hawk in 1 and 2. Looks like the 20 car is going to get that big run coming off the outside right here down the back straightaway, and they're going to clear out. Then you got David Gainforth looking to the inside of the 44 going into 3 and 4, and you got Chad Payne behind him.
Chad Payne, another driver who started back at a pack in the 26th position, up 15th at the moment. Again, a lot of these guys, somebody like a Ray Richard in front of him or a Dennis Cook behind him, have made up significant spots, and you see a little bit of damage on the 9 machine because they were behind all the contact off of the restart there at the start of the race. The accident in turn number 4 on lap number 1. They were able to avoid the accident. 8 cars involved. You pick up about 8 spots. So that's how these drivers have been able to get a couple of those positions. They have to continue to march forward, though. Jim Locking still on the move. Let's go back up and look at the number 91 Chevrolet. Talking about him just a couple of laps ago. Well, he wants another spot. Look to the inside of Justin R. Anderson that time for the number 6 spot. Didn't get the job done, but the 91 up 11 positions.
Yeah, the 91 is a man on a mission right now, but looking back behind him, you got the Budweiser machine of Tyler Roberts right there on his tail, and then you got the 16 up ahead of him, the Hooters Ford Fusion right there, and then you got the 48, the guy on fresh tires, Ryan Steinacker. Looks like Ryan's got the speed right there coming through turns 1 and 2. He actually gets a little late push right there on the exit, and the 8 car is still all over Jim Locking down the back straightaway.
Yeah, a couple of guys that have been going forward relatively over the course of the night. Don't want to forget about the 86 of Steve Cunningham. He's 2 cars in front of this battle in the 86 Chevrolet. He himself started in the number 11 spot and up in the number 5 spot at the moment. He's 2 seconds, though, behind Mike Donahue in the 4th position. Donahue actually battling with Curtis Aho for 3rd. They themselves are 2 seconds off of the top spot. Justin Faulkner really starting to stretch out the lead in P1.
Yeah, he is stretching out the lead, and he's doing what he needs to do to go on to, well, he's already locked into the next round, actually, by winning Kentucky 2 weeks ago, actually. But he's doing what he needs to do. He's putting a statement here tonight, and he's saying, hey, you're going to have to come beat me to win this thing. And Curtis Young's second back pretty much right now, and then you got Curtis Aho, 3rd, 4th, Mike Donahue, and round out your top 5 is Steve Cunningham.
We have 20 drivers on the lead lap at the moment. Drivers who have fallen off of the lead lap since the accident. David Gainforth is 1 lap down, 21st. The rest of the drivers on McNeese, Rusko, Philip Meyer, Robert McFarland, Judd Danielson are headed towards being double-digit laps down. And even if they can get those cars back in working condition, chances are you're not going to get 9 or more laps back in a race. Their objective at this point, log laps for the next 86 times around the Michigan International Speedway. Hope that maybe a couple of other cars wreck out of this one. You can get some points. That's what we like to call damage control for those drivers. Guys who started up in a couple of the top positions, though, 3rd and 5th and on. Well, your 3rd place starter, Joshua Ramos, has fallen to 11th position. The driver who started in 4th position is actually just in front of him in 10th spot. So Ramos and Anderson have fallen a bit. Curtis Young, as I noted, went 5th to 3rd on the drop of the first green flag tonight. That's the most recent restart. Jumped him up a couple of more spots, went from 3rd to 2nd. He is 7/10 off of Faulkner. He's been better than the 51 Chevrolet the last 2 times around, and may be saving those tires a little bit better as we start to close in on what could be considered a longer run here, 11 laps since the caution.
Yeah, he knocked off 2/10 right there. Maybe he was just hanging back, letting the 51 machine go out there and burn his stuff up like you were saying, Evan. But I'm looking back behind Curtis Young right now. Curtis Ajo's actually also knocking off about a 10th lap or even more. And then you got Mike Donahue behind him actually catching the leader too. Maybe the leader just went out there a little bit too hard, burned his stuff up, got to about a 2nd lead, and that's the most you can usually get, making the best out of his tires real early, and then it's going to really hurt him as the run goes on.
Look for a couple of other battles in the middle of the pack. What a Jim Locking going backwards. 16 of Justin Anderson on the attack. It's a battle for 9th and 10th. They're side by side, and in front of them, more side by side with the 14 of Gary West into the inside on Tyler Roberts. This is almost over 6 seconds off of the top spot. These guys have kind of been grouped up though like this for a good amount of time. The last time by all 4 of them within 0.3 of a second of each other as the battling continues. It is a very fast racetrack, talking about how momentum is a big thing in the draft. Curtis Young at about 19 machine going to go to the race lead now on Justin Faulkner. Got a big run. Not sure if the 51 just had a really bad exit out of 4 or what it was, but the 19 was really uncontested in that battle for position. He takes over P1 this time. You take a second look at the move.
Yeah, Curtis Young was coming, and he's coming quick, and now he's gone. He's drove out to about 3 to 4 car lengths right there, going through turn 1 and 2, and looking at the top 5 now, you got a new 5th place driver. Welcome to the top 5, Ryan Steinacker. He's on the move with them 4 fresh tires. He knocked off about 2/10 right there off of the lead right there of Curtis Young. Maybe Ryan Steinacker thinks he can get the job done having 4 fresh tires over the drivers ahead of him.
We're talking about tires in that opening caution flag, lap number 1. Didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. Oh, the 51 spinning Justin Faulkner from 2nd. He'll slide sideways in the middle of the track on the front straightaway. Locks it up in time. Caution is out. He will avoid being nailed by somebody else in traffic coming through. He was out in front of the field. He was leading this race, and he started to get a little bit desperate once Curtis Young caught up to him, made the move for the race lead. The 51 just pushed it a little bit too much out of 4, caught the fence, and looped that Napa Chevrolet around. Could have been a lot worse when he came back up track. Luckily, he's the only driver involved.
Yeah, luckily, but he's also locked in the chase. He has nothing to lose, so why not just try to go as hard as you can? But that might have been going a little bit too hard right there, coming out of 4 right there, because you got to think, we were just talking about tires, Evan, right before this caution came out. He could have pushed it a little bit too hard on his tires. The right front might have lost all the grip it had in it, and it made the car real tight and just took him right up into the outside wall. And he had so much wheel cranked on the wall that it just shot him back down to the left, and actually shot him towards the apron so everybody else could fan out around him.
Pit road going to be open once again. This time by was just about to note. Stoniker went 11th to 4th as the only driver, or rather the leading driver on the restart, if you will, on fresh tires. Expect it to be more 4 tires in fuel. Your race leaders are down though. Young, Ajo, and Donahue bring them in.
Yeah, Young's probably going to come down. I expect everybody to get 4 tires right here. And then if your 4th placeman, Ryan Steinacker, he could go with 2, but I highly doubt it. To see what the 48 is. He's into his stall cleanly. Curtis Young's into his stall. Curtis Ajo actually goes way over the line right there. Has to back it up. That's going to hurt his pit stop, Evan.
Especially if he still decides to go with the 4 tires. It's going to cost him about 2 seconds on pit road. A mistake that'll hurt you time-wise if it's green flag service, but a mistake under caution flag service that will cost you positions. Curtis Young going to be the first driver out of pit road. Ryan Stonecker, Mike Donahue, and a drag race at the line. Gary Weston also going to beat Curtis Aho out of the pit, so he loses 3 spots in that exchange.
Yeah, it really hurts when you come in second right there and you're right there running with the lead. Yes, it's early in the race and he can make that up, but you want to kind of stay up at the front here. You don't want to lose the leader, because the leader, when with clean air here, can just start driving away. So maybe Curtis Aho can get his Ford Fusion back up there and try to come back up towards the front.
Just at the 1/5 distance tonight for the Michigan International Speedway. As we pace at lap number 20, we'll take this opportunity to step aside, take a quick caution flag of our own. You're watching the Hoylman Repair Auto 200 from the Michigan International Speedway. Curtis Young, your race leader. Still more to come back here on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
How much longer do you want to wait for Dave to talk about this dart release?
Why? What's he doing?
I'm pretty sure he's playing Pokemon again.
Again?
Yes, again.
He's typing! He's typing! He's got it! He's got it! It's a new line of code! I'll get my code. Sorry.
Back live from the Michigan International Speedway. We get set for our second restart off of a caution flag here tonight. The race leader is the number 19 machine up at the front of the field. Curtis Young in control. Second to pit stops. Last time around, everybody back on even strength with 4 tires and fuel. Ryan Stonecker who made the call earlier in this race to take 4 tires, made up 7 spots on the last run, picked up 2 on the pit lane. He's to the outside of the front row in the number 2 position. Base guard down and away. Once again, American Ethanol green flag waves in the air. We're back underway to turn number 1. Good jump at a 19 to Curtis Young. He's got about a half a car length, now 3/4 of a lead down to turn 1. His goal to get clear the dive down to turn number 1. Not able to do it. Here comes Ryan Stoniker, top side of the racetrack, side by side for the race lead at a turn number 2 at a Lone Star Chevrolet. He'll get the spot down the back.
Yeah, what a good move by Ryan Steinacker to stay in the gas right there all the way through 1 and 2 and get a long jump on the 19. But as you look, going into 3 and 4, the 19's back to the outside of the 48 of Ryan Steinacker. They're side by side down the front straightaway. The 19's going to lean on him, try to get some of that side draft off the 48 down the front straightaway.
Very rarely do you see a crossover make the car go from the bottom to the top of the racetrack, but that's what the 19 of Curtis Young did. Way high in the corner, and he'll get the spot, though. Blew by him into turn number 1. The 48 of Ryan Stoniker much lower than I think he wanted to be, or maybe expected to be, but he does drop back to the number 2 position. How about the 48, though, or the 38 behind Curtis Aho? Was 4th the last time by. Well, he just made a move out of Mike Donahue for that position, and now he sets his sights on second, looking for a way around that number 48 machine.
Yeah, he's looking on to the 48 of Ryan Steinacker with a caution out down.
Taking a look, couple cars out in the grass. Ray Richards, number 44, is one of them. Yellow shortly off of this restart, and I think it is going to be for the number 44 of Ray Richard. We get set to take a second look on the LSRTV replay. Side by side into the corner, and I kind of pinched the 9 down a little bit, but the 9 of Chad Payne pushed up the racetrack a little bit into the corner, and a 44 kind of squeezed him out of room, and a contact sends that 44 machine Richard around. 9 did a good job of hanging on to it. The 44 may have if the 16 wasn't there. He slid up the hill, and Justin Anderson, who was coming around the outside of the racetrack, and he tagged him and sent the 44 machine around. So caution flag is out, lap number 24 for the 3rd time.
Yeah, caution flag's out. And you got to feel bad for the 16 right there in the Hooters Ford Fusion. He should have been tooting his horn a little bit trying to get the 44 out the way, but just not enough time to react right there for the 16. And the 44 was just sliding right up the racetrack after Chad Payne slid up into him. But looking at pit road right now, you got your leaders coming in. Quick pit stop right here. Maybe they seen what the 48 did that first time with that 1 lap and actually gained all them spots. So here they come. Curtis Young, Ryan Steinacker, Curtis Aho, all down pit lane.
Also, don't be surprised if it's going to happen at one point tonight that maybe after a 2-lap green flag run, maybe the best time if you are going to try to pull that 2-tire call now. We'll see. Race leader Curtis Young down into pit stall number 5, the number 19 Ford Fusion. Has been in control of this race since about the lap number 8 marker. He'll go with not only right side tires, but as the crew goes over to the left side, going to be 4 tires, gas and go for the Go Fast Ford. He's out of the pit stall, no problem and no challenge. In the race off of pit road, side by side for second, Mike Donahue. Going to go from 4th to 2nd position. The 70 Chevrolet picks up 2 spots that trip down pit road. It'll put Ryan Stoniker back into the number 3 position, but nobody decides to go with the 2-tire call. Looked like everybody agreed that 4 tires was the best play.
Yeah, and I don't think you'll see 2 tires here tonight because the problem is with 2 tires, it's going to make the car really loose, and the looser the car is, the more ill handling it's going to be. It's really hard to hang on to a loose car. Maybe the tight cars, you know, with Justin Faulkner being tight earlier, you know, maybe you can deal with that a little bit better, but I think being loose would not want what you really don't want to have tonight.
Out in front of your race leaders is Russ Coe. He's currently scored 23rd position in 19 laps down. Involved in one of the earlier caution flags. He's the lowest running driver still out on track. Philip Myers' machine is behind the wall. 24th position, his night is done. He is also 23 laps down with Robert McFarland and Judd Danielson. While they are not officially out of this race, what's left of their cars is sitting pit side. They're not currently behind the wheel. For all intent and purposes, those 3 drivers are done for the night. And just moments ago, Ray Sanders also going to bring his machine behind the wall. So that's good news for Len McNeese and Russ Coe. If they could each run about 2 and then 13 more laps respectively, they'd get around that number 7 machine and get 1 or 2 points here and there, which goes back to the point that I noted about the drivers who were involved in the accident earlier. You're not going to make up 9 laps, or in the case of Russ Coe, you're not going to make up 18 laps to the race leaders. A couple of guys drop out here and there. You get what you can. But 3 caution flags in the opening quarter of this race for Michigan International Speedway. It's the Hoylman Auto Repair 200 from MIS. Rough start for this one. Again, this is a racetrack that has a lot of room, can lend itself to some green flag racing, but it also is a very racy track, and so far these guys have not been afraid to back away from any of that.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of comers and goers tonight, Evan. You only got 2 drivers in the top 5 right now that actually started up there towards the front. You got Curtis Young that's leading it. He started 5th. You got Mike Donahue started second, and running second. But then you got Ryan Steinacker started 14th. Curtis Aho started 7th. Tyler Roberts started 10th. Them drivers have all came up to the front, and they look awfully good tonight.
A lot of action, especially middle of the pack, too. Inside the top 5, those guys that you talking about, Ryan Stonecker and Tyler Roberts, the guys that have moved their way forwards. But in fact, your pole sitter, Justin Faulkner, is way back in 13th position. Remember, he had a spin coming out of turn number 4 once he lost the race lead to Curtis Young. Unfortunately for him, can't pull the Ryan Stonecker and be the only driver or one of the 2 or 3 guys that didn't get damaged to come down pit road to get tires, try to make up spots, because this time everybody else agrees that 4 tires is the way to go. But he's back outside of the top 10. Curious to see just how good that number 51 machine is. He was second best in practice and qualified on pole position. As the lights go out on the pace car and we get set to go back green flag racing, Daniel, a lot of the time somebody's really good when they're up front because they started up front. A lot of the time, though, we'll see somebody find themselves at an issue, whether it be pit strategy or in this case an accident. He doesn't have any damage, so that car should be fine, but when they get stuck in the middle of the pack, they just don't have that same speed. So we'll have to see if that 51 can kind of put the elbows up and go at these guys, at least try to get to the top 10 on this run.
Yeah, and one thing I look at with from a driver standpoint, and actually as just looking at from a friend or something, 51, anybody can go up there and qualify up front. I give it to him, yes, not everybody can actually put down a fast lap like he put down, but the thing I look at when I see a driver or anything, what I call a driver is somebody who can go all the way towards the back of the field and actually drive themselves all the way back up towards the front. And that's a lot of things you see in sim racing, is that people can go out there and lead laps and start up front, but once you put them back in the pack, it looks like it scares them or something, and they never can really make their way back up there. But as you can see, the field's double up coming out of 4. I'm going to give it back over to you, Evan.
We talk about people going back to front. Dennis Cook, who started 25th, is in 9th right now, didn't even qualify, and has been picking his way through the field slowly ever since. We'll put 28 laps behind us this time by, and still with 72 laps to go. American Ethanol green flag waves back underway. Good jump for the inside. Outside the 48 is Stonecker. Going to give a little bit of an encouragement nudge to the back bumper of the 19 to Curtis Young down to turn number 1. The 70 machine topside. Mike Donahue can't keep it hooked up in time. He'll drop back to 3rd. Stonecker takes over P2, looks to the inside, wants the challenge for the race lead, can't get the spot.
Yeah, he thought better of it. Goes back in line right now down the back straightaway. You got the 38 and the 8 of Tyler Roberts and Curtis Aho. Curtis Aho's to his outside, and Tyler Roberts is actually clear right now, but it looks like that 38 is going to get that big run coming out the outside down the front straightaway, this long front straightaway where speeds go up to about 210 miles an hour. As you're looking at Curtis Young right now going to the bottom, breaking the draft. He's going to go off into turn 1 at 211 miles per hour. That's really fast here at Michigan International Speedway.
That's why the draft is such a big thing. We already noted the differences between Daytona, Talladega, and this place at Michigan International Speedway. They're doing about 10 miles an hour faster here than what we see at those plate tracks, but some things remain true, and that is the fact that there is a huge hole in the air punched when you're going this fast. Look at the 19, Curtis Young, a little bit slow on entry. Ryan Stonecker tries to pounce all over that, looks to the inside, thought he was going to drive all the way up to his door, stopped a little bit shy at the left rear quarter panel, and it actually lose tons of speed down the straightaway, end up about 3-4 car lengths behind in that battle when they get back down to turn number 1, but it's showing that 48 Chevrolet not backing away from an opportunity. If he sees you open up a door, expect the nose to be there shortly.
Yeah, it looked like he got a little arrow push, you might call it, right there through 3 and 4. 19 cuts over, takes a little bit of his draft away right there, and the 48 just had just got a little push right there out of 4. But as you can see, coming back through turn 3 and 4, the 19's It looks like the 19 woes up a little bit in the corner, but then he gets a big run off. It's really just he's backing up his corners a whole lot more than the 48 and the 70. Mike Donahue's running third right now. Then you got Curtis Aho running fourth. But if you look back here, Steve Cunningham, he's got the 8 Budweiser machine of Tyler Roberts all over the rear end of him. It looks like the 86, he's ran 5th pretty much all night tonight. He started 11th. He's looking very good, Steve Cunningham is. But then you got Tyler Roberts with a big run down the back straightaway. You just can't just dive in there really late going into 3 and 4, but he gets right to his bumper, but he can't do nothing.
You can always force an issue. That's what we saw, though, to bring out the last caution flag. Again, if you're running the bottom, your left side tires are on that first seam. It's a couple of feet off of the white line. In fact, you could say basically it's a lane off of the bottom. You see, they'll duck down here through the front straightaway. They'll go back up high to arc it down into turn number 1, but they're not going all the way down to that yellow line. Even the 8 machine ducks down a little bit lower, not quite all the way. The 86 wants to keep it up a couple of more lanes at this end of the racetrack. If you really want, the inside's always open. The outside's always open, more or less, so you can force the issue, but the straightaway's so long here, all it takes is a little bit of a bobble from that guy in front of you to get a whole lot of speed that you can use to try to pull up, and especially with that draft helping you, as we've noted. The battle for the race lead, still an intense one. In fact, it's a 4-way battle for the number 1 position. Young, Stoniker, Donahue, and Aho within 7/10 of a second of each other that time by.
Yeah, and it looks like Ryan Steinecker's just running right there in Curtis Young's draft right now, just trying to get a little whiff of his draft just to keep him right there, because that's how big this track is. You get these long straightaways, like you said, Evan, just it can pull the 48 right back up to the 19 going into the corners. And the 19, like I said earlier, is blowing up his corners a little bit earlier than the 48 is, Ryan Steinecker. And it looks like the 38 of Curtis Aho is going to look under Mike Donahue. As you see, the 48 actually gets a bad push coming out of 4 like the 51 did earlier. 38 looks to the inside. He actually might get 2 positions if he dives off into turn 1 and 2 under Ryan Steinecker.
Completes the move on to 70, uses that momentum to get up to the inside of the number 48 of Stoniker. Again, at the start finish line, Curtis Aho is still scored back into 4th position. He's not going to be clear, but does have a nose length advantage off of the turn in a battle for the number 2 position. Run coming out of 2, going to bring Stoniker back to him nose to nose. So go down to turns number 3 and 4. Aho way down to the inside of the racetrack, lower than most anybody else all night long. Gives him the advantage in the center, but again, the momentum on the top side just too much, and at least Stoniker going to be able to maintain his position. 48 still P2. Aho does slide up in line, though, staying in front of that 70 of Donahue.
Yeah, and looking back behind him, battle for 5th is on. You got Steve Cunningham, Tyler Roberts. You got the 51 of Justin Faulkner. Where'd he come from? He restarted 13th on that last restart. He's up to 7th. Then you got the 91 of Jim Locking just sitting there lurking right behind him. But it's a 3-way battle pretty much right now for the top 5.
Couple of spots up for grabs in that exchange as well. The 8 machine of Tyler Roberts, the driver who's a little bit slow off at the turn. He was looking to make a battle with Steve Cunningham. Indeed, though, it's Justin Faulkner up the inside. We questioned on the restart, what can Faulkner do on even tires with everybody else? Doesn't have any advantage. Was back in 13th position. He may not necessarily be out of this fight yet, because Tyler Roberts was back on the outside, but he was P6 the last time by the start finish on. That puts him up 7 from where he was on the restart.
Yeah, while I'm looking at these drivers, I think of a little old school. I think of Dale Jr., and then if you take the 51 and flip it to 15, you're going to have Michael Waltrip right there to his inside. But now he looks to the inside of Steve Cunningham. He's going to try to get top 5 right here. And then you got Ryan Steinecker really falling back. Maybe he went too hard right there at the beginning of this run. He's really slow. He's in the way of the 51. He's got to look to the middle. They're 3 wide going off into turn 1.
And a 48 machine loses 3 spots in that exchange. High side for the 46 machine, or rather the 86, as Steve Cunningham slices down, gets a couple of positions, but a big head of steam out of turn number 2 could open up the door for Faulkner side by side. And what is now left as a battle for 4th position, the Napa Chevrolet, a little bit of a push off into turn 3 from Tyler Roberts. He'll get that spot. He needs to be able to keep the speed off of the corner. He will, and Faulkner continues to march forward. Tyler Roberts comes up about a half a foot short from clearing the 86 of Cunningham. They're now side by side for 5th.
Yeah, and Justin Faulkner's up to 4th now. Then you got Tyler Roberts. He's going to clear the 86 right there, but the 86 is going to fight back really hard on the outside. He actually is going to get a big run. Then you got Jim Locking right here. He's just sitting there. I'm telling you, Jim Locking's just sitting there lurking, waiting for one of these guys to make a mistake where he can pounce and get into the top 5.
Curious to see what Ryan Stoneker is going to do. He was actually in a great spot when he was battling for second because he was challenging for the race lead. Once Curtis Aho got to the back bumper, he was a little bit more preoccupied with dealing for that battle for position than going after your race leader. He seems to have gone downhill. Maybe got a little bit of damage. He did catch the fence in that exchange. It's why he lost all the momentum down the back straightaway. But a 48 machine back in 10th position, losing time every single time around. I'm sure it's a little bit of the damage, but as well a little bit of him kind of getting knocked out of his momentum.
I think it's mostly damage, Evan. If you look at his right front right now, looking down the back straightaway, the 9 of Chad Payne looks to his inside, just clears him with ease right there. Speed deficit right now is on the 48 because he has so much damage. Their air is going up under the car with the right front up in the air the way it is. It's going to make him difficult to it's going to be difficult to turn. It's also not on the ground as good anymore, so that's going to be a lot of speed taken off the 48 machine.
Tough break as he continues to slide down back to the number 11 position now. It wasn't all that long ago that he was back in 11th position. That's where he was on the restart at lap number 5 in this race. Bad news is that restart came with about 95 laps to go. We are inside of 60 laps to go this time by, and could it be stretching this out towards a long green flag run? Would it be a very kind of sour way, I think, for Ryan Stoneker to see his night go after we talked about him very well for the last 20-30 laps about how just good he was doing. The race leader, Curtis Young, is now 2 seconds in front of Curtis Aho in the number 2 position. Mike Donahue still back in 3rd spot. Justin Faulkner almost on the podium, though. Here comes the 51 Chevrolet, close it in to 3 car lengths.
Yeah, it's 3 car lengths right there down the back straightaway, closing in almost 2 car lengths now with that big run he gets out of turn 2 right there, going off into 3 and 4. Looks like that 51's finally coming back to Justin Faulkner. Looks like the car's finally coming back into his handling and everything like he had earlier in the race. Gets a big run through 3 and 4 right there, pushes way up the track. He's actually looking right over, now goes all the way down to the apron, take the shortest route down the front straightaway. He looks to the inside of the 70 of Mike Donahue at his door. Now he's going to be equal with him going in here into this corner. Looks like the 70 is going to have nothing of it and just give it up right there going into turn 1.
Yeah, he could have drove him down into the turn, made him fight side by side. I think the best move, though, there for Mike Donahue is hold the top lane, let the 51 go on by, and don't tear up your tires anymore. So 4 seconds off, which I think is the biggest challenge for somebody like a Faulkner who, again, we said he's been good up front, dropped back for the race lead in an accident. How well will he perform in the middle of the pack? So far, it's been very well. Was back in 13th position. He takes over 3rd at lap number 44. He's made up 10 spots. The biggest issue now is not that he can't pass cars. The last lap was a 38.7. Curtis Young with a 38.6. Impressive with the 51 executing to pass the last time around. I'd say he still has a very good car. But by starting that deep in the pack, you can run equal lap times. You're still going to lose time. He's 4 seconds behind. I don't think that's a 4-second gap that he's necessarily primed to make up, especially when we look at the fact that Curtis Young passed the 51 up on the longer end of a green flag stint because the 19 was conserving the tires a little bit better. The 51 has not shot away from being aggressive on this march back up to the front of the field, so I think he's definitely in the camp of drivers that will hope that this race doesn't go green flag for the next 65 laps.
Yeah, he really needs a caution because also coming up through the field puts a lot of wear and tear on them 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles he had at the beginning of the run. But actually looking at back behind him, you got 5th place Tyler Roberts, got a handful of Jim Locking right behind him on his rear bumper. Then you got the 14 of Gary Weston right there. You had Steve Cunningham up there, but he actually slipped up and got really tight right behind him in 8th. That actually gave opened the door actually for Eric Hawk to take the 8th position over. And now you look up back up here to Tyler Roberts. He's got the 91 of Jim Locking right down to his inside. Jim Locking's got a good run down the front straightaway. Looks like Tyler Roberts is going to go all the way to the outside wall down the front straightaway and give Jim Locking this position going down to turn 1.
And that's a name that we really haven't talked a whole lot about tonight. Locking, who was 23rd at practice, qualified in 18th. But right now, with that change for position, and Tyler Roberts again looked to the outside to try to challenge. He didn't have the nose at the start-finish line, and now finally, as they head down the backstretch, he'll get clear. Is up 13 spots. Jim Lockett inside at the top 5 for the first time tonight. The drivers who started in 1-2, Justin Faulkner, Mike Donahue, are back in 3rd and 4th position. Tyler Roberts, although we have seen him only go backwards 2 spots in this most recent run, he himself is doing a good job. But a big run out of turn number 4. He'll go back to the outside of the racetrack. Curious to see what kind of a run this will give him all the way down to turn number 1, 208 miles an hour into the corner. We're once again side by side for 5th.
And looking up ahead of him, you got the 51 and the 38 actually going side by side. Give Justin Faulkner the second position now. Curtis Aho goes back to third, and he's got Mike Donahue looking to his inside. Mike falls off actually really hard right there, goes 4 car lengths back. I think he just gave that position up. He wasn't going to make a big dive right there, but actually going back behind them now, going back to 5th. The 5th place battle, you still got Tyler Roberts and Jim Locking duking it out for the top 5 spot, and Gary Weston is catching them for them guys battling like this.
Three-way battle for position. Yeah, the 14 to Gary Weston in this fight as well. And last time by, those 3 drivers separated by just 0.2 of a second to get the 14 going to drop off a little bit. Didn't want to make 3 wide. The 8 gets tight. He gets into the left rear of the 91 just a little bit. Enough, though, that Jim Lockett was able to hang on to it. That could have been a lot worse. Roberts over the radio apologizes for that one. It could have been terrible for both of those drivers. It'll cost Tyler Roberts for the moment that number 6 spot as Gary Weston gets on by, and maybe that's why the 14 backed out of that.
Yeah, and the 14 gets tight off of 4 right there. That's going to let Tyler Roberts get a big run off of 4. Going to go down to the inside, pull equal to his car right now, and then looking back behind them, you got Chad Payne and Eric Hawk also going side by side into turn 1. And then you got the 8. He actually clears Gary Weston. The 20 pushes way up the track. The 9 gets a bad push going through the middle of the corner right there. They're all going to single file out down the back straightaway.
Faulkner in the number 51 machine. Second place at the moment. Mike Donahue in the number 70, though. Thinking about trying to challenge him for it. And Miller High Life entry comes up the inside. Good run at a turn number 4. Inside lane wide open. We'll go 3 wide. How about Curtis Aho up the middle? 3 wide for the number 2 position. 70 Mike Donahue going to get the spot. Aho up to second. They drop Faulkner back into the number 4 position behind. And now the 38 wants to go for P2.
Yeah, and looking at the right front of the 51, it looks like he's hit the wall again. It looks like he's got the right front crinkled up again. It looks like he's going to have to come down pit road and also get that fixed on his next pit stop. But actually looking up ahead of him, you got the 70 of Mike Donahue and Curtis Aho to his outside. Curtis Aho's going to get that big run, but Mike gets good in the gas. Actually, the 51, I think, is coming down pit road this time, Evan.
Going to be right at the halfway marker in this one. We'll have 50 laps complete. Justin Faulkner is down pit side in the 51 Chevrolet. And I talked about him absolutely burning up those tires, getting up to the field. He got all the way up to inside of the top 3, but he just lost 2 positions the last time around. Maybe he feels like he was at a tire disadvantage, so why not short pit and get a tire advantage? This could force other leaders down pit road.
Yeah, Curtis Young and Curtis Aho and Mike Donahue need to pit probably this time by. Also to keep on the same strategy as 51. Actually, you see the 19 coming hard down pit road. He's going to get it woed up to 55 miles per hour. Then you got Curtis Aho behind him. He actually stays out. Mike Donahue's also coming in that Chevy SS.
So it puts that 38 in the race lead. I don't think it's really a bad call for Curtis Aho. He'll lock up a bonus point the last time by. He enters tonight second on the championship grid in a contender 12 round in this battle for the title. In a good position, especially now in this race, up at the front of the field to get a win, and you lock yourself into that battle for the championship. He finished P2 2 weeks ago at the Kentucky Speedway. He's leading laps right now at Michigan. I don't expect him to stay out for that long, and in fact, he'll drop down to the apron this time, almost a little bit early, in fact. Way down on the apron. Might be a slow entry to pit road. It's a conservative one, doesn't want to make a mistake. Easily gets it down to speed in time. That, though, could cost him time when you look at the overall picture, because it was a very tedious entry.
Yeah, very slow entry for 38 of Curtis Aho. He's just taking it easy, you know. He don't want to cost anything. He just wants to go on to the next round. I don't blame him. Steve Cunningham actually stays out, and he's going to get a bonus point right there with leading that lap. Then you got Gerald Heffley still out on the racetrack and David Gainforth, and they're actually racing right now hard for second place. But I just don't see them staying out much longer. You can probably see Steve Cunningham coming down this time, and actually is calling it. He's pitting in this time. You're going to see the 86 come in. Maybe the 28 and the 101 of David Gainforth are here to follow. Looks like they're going to keep racing out here, and it's going to give the lead over to the 28 of Gerald Heffley.
Heffley stays out from P2. David Gainforth in the number 2 spot now. Will move up to that spot after being third the last time by. They kind of have a battle going on for the race lead. Not necessarily. The 28 machine pulls out to about 6-7 car lengths into the lead at turn number 2. These two drivers started in 17th and 19th position. But most importantly, 5 laps ago, we're back outside of the top 10. So the cycle of service has obviously been helping them. In fact, the 28 at Heffley passed Gainforth about 4 laps ago in a battle that was for 10th position. We'll see if either one of them want to come pit side this time. The 101 machine Gainforth runs the lower line. Thought he might have been coming down. Both of them continue, though, to stay out.
Yeah, and they have nothing to lose, really. They're just going to run it out, see if they can get a quick caution, and that would put them up towards the front of the field because you know everybody else would come down pit road because the leaders that have pitted have been out there for about 2 to 3 laps now, so that's going to put some wear on their tires. But looking back behind them, third place is Ryan Steinacker. He's still out on the racetrack, and then you got an injured Haas Automation Chevrolet of Robert McFarland behind him, also a guy that's 48 laps down, so there's no issue there. Then you go back, then you have your provisional leader after everything cycles back around. That's going to be the Curtis Young machine.
Yeah, and it's not all that far away. Also, in a battle for position, Ryan Stonecker actually currently in front of Curtis Young in third spot, the 48 Chevrolet. Talking about how the cycle of pit strategy has gone down. Well, the 48 Chevrolet yet to be pit side. So he's dropping back at a significant rate. Curtis Young should be able to catch up to him. Not sure what the play is here for the 48. I would have thought that after being in the fence, Stonecker would have wanted to be down pit road as soon as possible. So once Heffley Gainforth come down pit road, Young should be in front of the 48 of Stonecker front by that point. And in fact, they're doing about 10 miles an hour different at a turn number 2. Here comes the 19 machine. Right now, it is a move for third position on track. Curtis Young, though, leading the charge of drivers who have already been down pit road, moves himself into third.
Yeah, and looking up ahead of him, David Gainforth actually down pit road. Down this long pit road I'm talking about. This pit road just will kill you, just make you actually just want to, stop and take a break how long it is. But the 101 goes into his pit stall safely, slides right there to the edge of his pit stall. Then you got Gerald Heffley still on the racetrack. That's going to actually having big problems right now with lap traffic. You had the 86 of Steve Cunningham and the 54 of Dennis Cook looking to his inside. Now Gerald Heffley is actually going to come down pit road this time.
And that will cycle out the service. Ryan Stonecker still yet to come down pit road, but the Lone Star Chevrolet right now may be staying out as his last-ditched effort to get a caution flag, get it back in this race. So far, it doesn't look like it's necessarily working for him. And Curtis Young, lap number 58, he goes back to the race lead that time by 3-second lead over Gerald Heffley, who's down pit road, 5.1 seconds in front of Stonecker. But Justin Faulkner, the 51 Chevrolet, the next closest driver on fresh tires, is 6.7 seconds behind him. A great pit cycle for the 19.
Yeah, good pit cycle for him. Made a lot of time up there, but then the 51 also had to come in a little bit. Came 2 laps earlier than the 19 of Curtis Young, but our producer, Cisco Scarmouze, is also telling us right now that the 51 has a lot of damage right now. He's hit the wall a couple times. I believe his car is having the same thing happen to the 48, just getting that speed taken away from hitting the wall a couple times. But he hit the wall earlier in the race, which put him, spun him out. So I'm guessing he probably got tied off the same corner and also hit the wall.
So it's a 7.7 second now advantage in favor of the 19 machine Curtis Young. Maybe just keeping the 19 out of the fence. Maybe the best thing in his favor up at the front of the field. We're at lap number 59 for Michigan International Speedway. Just completed our first cycle of green flag service on tonight. We'll take this opportunity with 41 laps to go to step aside. We go LSRTV nonstop so you don't miss a moment of the action. It is all Curtis Young. He's 41 laps away from locking his way into the championship 8. He leads at lap number 60 in the Hoylman Auto Repair 200. Still more to come. You're watching LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Since 2010, the highest echelon of sim racing competition has focused on NASCAR and Grand Prix racing. 50 of the best drivers in the world doing battle for championship glory. Each man for himself, and even though there may be teammates on track, each driver is in command of his own destiny. Until now. 2016 sees the start of a new era in World Championship competition, with team racing getting its chance in the spotlight. No longer can one driver rule supreme, but you must rely on those with whom you share a car, a setup, a strategy. Endurance racing can be very different to other forms of motorsports, with races in this series lasting either 3 or 6 hours. Teams of 2 or 3 drivers, perhaps on opposite sides of the world, will share seat time, each having to collectively work towards one common goal. Crash out, and it's not just you who you let down. Officially sanctioned by SRO, it will be teams of drivers who will go head to head, car to car, rival to rival, in the pursuit of a championship. And there's over $25,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Some of the world's biggest sim racing teams are represented. There's also a group of teams who haven't seen this stage before, who want to make their mark and say we can hang with the best. The team racing revolution is here. It's loud, it's exciting, and it lives on iRacing Live, starting April 23rd.
We're back live from Michigan International Speedway, still continuing under green flag conditions in tonight's Hoylman Auto Repair 200. It's round number 18 of 20 on the 2016 Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series Championship at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Still happy to have you with us through lap number 66 of 100. Evan Pasoko, Daniel Ebhart, and Cisco Scarbuza alongside with you. Curtis Young, your race leader, is now 8.6 seconds in front of Justin Faulkner, who slowly begins to fade from the number 2 position. Mike Donahue still in third, but he's over 12 seconds back at this juncture. 19 running away with this one. It's not even close. He's still got 34 more times around Michigan to pad that number even more.
Yeah, and he's pulling even more. Also going into turn 1 right there. 51 hit the safer barrier that pokes out going into turn 1. Looks like he just can't get a break off the wall right now, and he got really loose right in front of Ryan Steinacker, which another guy, while we were under break, was hard into the 3 and 4 wall. So it's about keeping it off the wall tonight. The 19's kept his car clean all night, and you can see he's just gaining about 5 to 6 tenths a lap over the rest of the field.
There's a lot of drivers, interestingly enough. 10th position through 16th. You got 7 drivers within 4 seconds of each other. It's ironic because up inside of the top couple of positions, you've got 9.3 now between P1 and 2 alone. Not that it's a wild battle for a lot of those spots. There is a fight going on right now for 14th position. The 22 of Joshua Ramos under attack. The number 28 of Gerald Heffley coming in for the back end. The 62 of Ellery Queen still there. These drivers, though, just about 3 seconds in front of Curtis Young. In fact, the 19 going to be, I think, within range of trying to pass these guys in the next 1 or 2 laps. Could be a little bit of an interesting patch of lap traffic to navigate through.
Yeah, it's a lot of lap traffic, and he's got a big enough lead. He could just let them guys race it out and give up a second or 2. It's no big deal, you know. He's got 9 seconds, almost 10 seconds now over Justin Faulkner. Wow, it goes up to 10.5 right there. So big lead for the 19 machine of Curtis Young. He's putting on a clinic right now. He's taking everybody else, pretty much taking everybody else by storm right now. And then you look back there, or look actually up in front of him. You got Ellery Queen, Gerald Heffley up there, and Joshua Ramos actually in the wall right there coming out of 4. It's going to leave the door open for the 62 of Ellery Queen.
Queen wants to take the spot. The number 62 machine going to go to the inside of the racetrack. Not with a whole lot of momentum, though. They're basically even strength down to turn number 1. The 22 Ford outside should have the advantage off of the corner. And I think easily enough. No, going to get too close to the fence. Caution flag is out, though, at lap number 70. Another curveball into this race. Around on the front straightaway is Judd Danielson from 23rd and 43 laps down. The yellow flag is out, and that 10.5 second lead for Curtis Young is gone.
And as you're looking at the replay right now, the 85 does the same thing Justin Faulkner did. Put a lot of will into it. Alpha 4 hit the wall. But you got to feel bad for Curtis Aho. The guy running 5th was sitting there having a good run tonight. Creams the outside wall down the front straightaway, which fans in the stands got to love that, seeing a wreck right in front of them. But that's a bad feeling for the Curtis Aho machine.
A tough break, because if you go on board with the 85, Dan, I don't even think the 85 was tight. It's not like the 85 was way up out of the groove and couldn't make the quarter. There was very little wheel into it. I think Danielson was just trying to get as close to the wall as possible to give room for Curtis Aho, who a lead lap driver, 4th position in the race, could get by and, I guess, get the best run off of the quarter. And I think the 85 really just made a mistake and drove into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like it, does it, Evan? It looks like I think when the 38 was coming up just to run his normal line off the corner, the 85 just moves up and just was probably keeping his left eye pointed over towards the 38, just didn't know where he was really towards the wall, and he goes up and hits the wall, and I think it scared him when he hit it, and then pulls it off the wall and hits the 38. But, I mean, you got to kind of still feel bad for the Curtis Aho machine. I mean, he had nothing really to do with that. Wasn't really pressuring the 85. Had about a car length and a half in between them. So, I mean, there's really nothing the 38 could have done right there.
The tough break, race leader is going to be coming down pit road. No tougher of a break, though, for Curtis Young. Instead of being 10 seconds in front, he has to be concerned with just winning the race off of pit road. He comes down to pit stall number 5. Justin Faulkner all over the back bumper down in pit stall number 1.
Curtis Young's already done with the right sides. As you can look behind him, the 14 machine is actually Curtis Young's down the way already. Justin Faulkner seems like he's sitting in pit road getting his damage fixed maybe right there. Maybe he had a speeding because he was all over the back end of Curtis Young. The 14 machine's away of Gary Weston. They're all coming out of pit road. You got Curtis Young, your race leader. Then you go back to Mike Donahue 2nd. 3rd is Tyler Roberts. 4th, Jim Locking. And 5th is Eric Hawk. And then
the 51 adjusted Faulkner is still down in the box. Going to be out at the stall this time. That could be an attempt to get some of that pretty heavy right-hand damage that we saw get fixed in this. What we do know is we're going to have a restart inside of 30 laps to go in this race. And Curtis Young's number 19 is still going to be your race leader. Second time Russ Coe is found up in front of him. You see a couple of drivers staying out. Len McNeese, the damaged 85, but Judd Danielson, Robert McFarland, and Russ Coe, names that are staying out, either looking for a way-by or being off of the lead lap. Have to wait one more time to come down pit side. But Curtis Young, again, no longer has that quarter of a track advantage. He's going to have to deal with at least one more restart coming up inside of 28 laps to go. As the 19 machine continues to pace around the field, we'll take another quick opportunity, step aside to come back in just a moment. Tonight's coverage of the Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series, presented in part by Domino's. With Domino's new Piece of the Pie rewards, you can earn a free pizza after just 6 online orders of $10 or more. You can sign up today at www.dominos.com/rewards. We'll be back to Michigan International Speedway on the other side.
It was interesting this morning to come out here and get on the track and look closely at how rubber was starting to kind of take to the track, you know, where there were ruts and spots that looked still like dirt, and other spots were super shiny and had a bluish tint.
We scanned this track twice because we needed to be able to measure the differences between the track before it's raced and after it's raced. With dirt track racing, the dynamics of the track change dramatically once it's raced on throughout the race. And by scanning it beforehand, we were able to gain a baseline that we're now able to compare with the scan from after the race. Take a look at the cushion, see where it's built up, see how deep it is, and try to figure out some of these variables that we'll have to account for when we create our digital representations of dirt racing and dirt tracks. Our associate producer, Kevin Einarelli, was actually quite the soldier, and he stayed here all night scanning so that we could get this second scan, because in the morning after the race, they rip the track up. So the window that we have to collect that data is very limited. So thanks, Kevin. So we had a similar approach with the photography of this track that we had with the laser scan. We photographed it twice. So we were able to get in here right before the race started, right after all the trucks had finished running the track in, and take reference photography of the track. And then we returned today and took another set of reference photography. And we took photos of all the various elements that we need to account for: the cushion, the groove, the areas of the groove that have received rubber, and the apron. And we have a specific technique that we use to take these shots. We are using something called photogrammetry. What photogrammetry is essentially the science or a method which will allow us to take photographs and extract three-dimensionality from them using common elements between the photographs, and it's a great...
We're back live. The lights are out on top of the American Childhood Cancer Organization. Ford Mustang GT pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn this time around, and we will get set to do the dance for what could be one final time. Curtis Young certainly hopes so. He had a 10-second advantage just 5 minutes ago. He has Mike Donahue directly to his right-hand side in second, and Tyler Roberts right on the back bumper from the number 3 position. 74 laps down, 26 laps to go. American Ethanol, green flag. Good jump for the 19. He'll lead at the line. We'll see what kind of a challenge the 70 can put up, though, down in 1.
The 19 actually gets clear of the 70 down into 1, but looking at back behind them, you got them all fanning out. You got the 101 of David Gainforth, 3 wide right now. Ray Richard to the inside. The 20 gets loose up ahead of him. Now the 91 looks below Eric Hawk down the back straightaway. Then you got Tyler Roberts in 3rd, 4th Eric Hawk, 5th Jim Locken.
3 wide also as they go down the back straightaways. These guys try to figure out what piece of real estate is the place to be. Race lead is a single file one, though. Young, Donahue, Roberts, 1, 2, 3 on the green flag. They're going to be 1, 2, 3 that time by the start-finish line. Different story, though, for Eric Hawk. He is able to get clear, jump up to the number 4 position, and somebody who's caught up in the chaos in this one is David Gainforth, the 101 machine to the inside of the racetrack, the 51, the 86, and more.
14's around, the 44 of Ray Richard, the 62 of Ellery Queen right around. They're all, and the 14 of Gary Weston's actually blown up, sitting in the middle of the track in 1 and 2.
Big junk, that 14 to Gary Weston slid straight up the racetrack and back into traffic. You take a second look at this one on the LSRTV replay. It was a battle for position to turn number 1, and I mean, the 44 kind of squeezed the 14, but it was a little bit of a dive bomb move by the 14 late into the corner, and he basically takes the 44 out. It was a good job at first by that 44 to hang on to it. Unfortunately, the 14 hit him a second time when he overcorrected and went up the hill, and that was a huge hit off of the corner. 62 machine also involved in that one.
Yeah, and what a good job by Dennis Cook right there in the 54 Aris Toyota right there. He did a fantastic job getting through that. He just slowed up, let them get done wrecking, and then just moved right on by through the outside, just squeezed on by right on the outside coming out of 2 right there. So good job for him to get through there, but you got to feel bad for the 44 right there. He goes into the corner ahead of the 14. 14 just gets into the rear of him, and then all that happened going on, the 14 came back to kind of like finish him off.
Yeah, tough deal. You think you do a good job of hanging on for the first time. You would like to think that it's over with. And one more big lick. Again, another very short run, though. But what we've seen is drivers have been wanting to come down pit road. It's a little bit later. Mike Donahue from 2nd position will pull the strategy call to stay out pit road. Most everybody else, though, in down pit lane from the top 10.
Yeah, and you can actually see some 2 tire stops right here. Maybe the 8 of Tyler Roberts may want to get up to second right here, actually past the 19 on pit road. The 51 of actually Justin Faulkner also stayed out, so that's going to leave 2 drivers out on the racetrack right now, but Curtis Young's in his pit stall up on the right side right now, Evan.
What the strategy play going to be and who's going to win the race off of pit lane, and most importantly, 4 tires, the name of the game. The 19 drag race off the pit lane. He'll go without challenge, no problem for Curtis Young to lead out of pit road. Tyler Roberts off second, side by side for third. Jim Lockings, number 91, will beat out the 20 of Eric Cockdave to gain fourth inside of the top 5. Not, though, in the running order. Staying out that time, Gerald Heffley and Justin Faulkner. Steve Cunningham also still out on the racetrack. There's a couple of drivers with big damage. Judd Danielson, one of them, heavy black smoke pouring out of the back of that 85. Not even sure what the manufacturer is on that. Might be a Chevy. There's no front or back end left on it at all. He'll try to limp to pit road this time by. He's off of the lead lap, so he cannot come down pit road with the leaders, or he'll get a penalty. So looks like that engine might just be able to make it around. So you do have your usual suspects, 5-4 cars or so around that number is the average. Stay out looking for a wave by or coming down pit road this time by. But looks like you might have 2 or 3 cars that stayed out, and it'll go to the top couple of rows on the restart. We'll have to wait and find out.
And we're probably going to get a restart with about 20 to go here, so that's going to make everything, it's going to rise up everybody, it's going to get their nerves up and going. You know, the race isn't getting, it's not gaining laps. The laps are getting shorter, so everybody's going to be having to make their way up towards the front. And Curtis Young's actually going to probably restart. He's going to restart 6th or 5th. They're clocking him in 5th right now on the board, and then Tyler Roberts is going to restart 6th. And these guys are all on 4 fresh tires. Then you got Mike Donahue, Steve Cunningham, Justin Faulkner, and Gerald Heffley that all stayed out.
Looks like that 70 Donahue could be in a very good position. Steve Cunningham stays out, obviously, from a little bit further back. Justin Faulkner into the number 3 position now, and then Gerald Heffley. Those are the 4 names, drivers who did not head pit side, this time under the caution flag. So you have Curtis Young on fresher tires that we assume to be somewhat better, considering the fact those issues with Steve Cunningham. He's blowing up from second, and the engine's gone. Steve Cunningham from the number 2 position going to blow the engine under the caution flag. He pulled down to the inside, and I'm not sure if, I mean, there's a little bit of front-end damage on that Chevy, Dana, but I don't know if maybe that ran up the engine temps, or maybe he had some sort of an issue shifting under the caution flag, but the engine just went from the second-place car. Wow.
Yeah, listening to his car, it didn't sound like anything happened. It didn't seem like he shifted down. He didn't over-rev his engine or nothing. Maybe that front end, maybe the front end just was putting enough pressure on the radiator or something, and just, you know, holding, building a lot of heat for the engine. The engine just said, you know what, I'm going to expire for you, and you ain't going to finish this one.
Not even in a position to make it home. You take a second look at the LSRTV replay. That engine just goes. And again, the only thing that I could attribute that to is the car does have some damage. He may have had some temperature issues as a result of that. But bad news for him is it happens at a turn number 2. They're pacing at just 70 miles an hour. He wasn't going to make it down the back straightaway through 3 and 4, back down pit side. He has to take the virtual tow. That's going to be at least a 3 or 4 minute delay. If he's able to get anything fixed on that car, get back out. Basically, though, his night is done. So now Justin Faulkner going to go for the inside of row 2 to the outside of row 1. The 51 is going to be P2, Gerald Heffley 3rd, and Curtis Young steps up to the second row. The first car on 4 tires is P4.
I mean, what else can happen to people tonight? We've had wrecks that guys save it and something else comes in and just hits them and wrecks them and finishes their day after they just saved the car, done all that work to save it. Then Steve Cunningham just randomly blows up. I mean, what else? You got 20. It's going to be 20 to go right here on this restart. It's going to be a crazy ending here at Michigan International Speedway.
It gives us a couple more opportunities to see something crazy happen. We'll find out how it works. It's going to be old tires on the front row, not by a lot. We didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. Ryan Steinecker earlier in this race did the call to come down pit road. And, it worked that 4 tires are very significant here at Michigan. Is that enough for the 19? Is the track position maybe big enough for Justin Faulkner or the 70 Mike Donahue to use as a defense? If they're a little bit slower than a 19 machine, use that clean air to run away. We'll find out. Is it for the final time? 80 laps down and 20 laps to go for Michigan. Green flag flies. We're back underway.
The 51 spins his tires on the restart. It's going to let the 70 get a good jump right there. He's right there at his door right now. The 51 is. He's staying right there now. Goes equal with him. It looks like the 51 gets better up through the gears right there. 3 wide behind him. Eric Hawk, David Gainforth to the outside. Chad Payne, 36, and Michael Favorite with a big run. Now it's going to take the lead. The 51 takes the lead. Curtis Young goes up to second. Looking back like the tires are not working out for Mike Donahue, and the 28 not taking tires right there.
We'll speed off down to turn number 3. Here comes the number 19 machine, already up into the number 2 position, but a 51 machine holding his own topside. Justin Faulkner doesn't give much up that time at a turn number 4. The 19 about 4 car lengths back.
Yeah, and Tyler Roberts actually gets up to 4th right there. Now sets his sight on the 70 and Mike Donahue. Looking back behind these guys, though, you got the 101 of David Gainforth to the inside of Jim Locking. The 20 all the way up. He's actually in the outside wall right now, trying to pull it off of it. They're 3 wide. All the way back in the back, Curtis Ajo's trying to come back up towards the front.
Battle for the race lead is on. Curtis Young to the inside of the racetrack. Lap number 82 of 118 laps to go. The 4 tires and having maybe the best car all night long is just too much to deal with. Curtis Young to declare Justin Faulkner at a turn number 4 to P1. That 19 Ford goes.
Yep, he's doing what he did all night long, Evan. Just takes the lead away and now sets his sight into the clean air. Everything is going right for the 19 machine tonight. That Ford Fusion looks very strong right now.
51 not going to give it up, though, challenging back to the inside that time, but at turn number 2 was Justin Faulkner. He's still within a car length. The clean air not as friendly as the 19 machine, or not as friendly to the 19 machine here as maybe it is at some other racetracks, because there is just such a big draft up for grabs, and the 51 stays right in the line of that number 19 machine, barely losing anything. He'll duck down to the inside, try something. I think that Justin Faulkner, though, at this stage is giving it everything he has, and if he stays closer to the 19 for the next 4 laps, he might not have any tires left. We'll see how long he can keep this up. He's still there, though, half a car length off.
Yeah, not even a half now. Now it goes back to about a half. Now maybe a car length down the back straightaway. The 19 pulls off really good out of turn 2 down this long back straightaway where the RPM's now going off in there at 207 miles an hour. Fastest I've seen all night. All of them are on the loud pedal right now trying to get up and going.
Battle for 3rd and on back right now, occupied by Mike Donahue in the number 3 spot. Tyler Roberts is in 4th, and Jim Lockett is back outside of the top 5. Side by side for 6th position, David Gainforth in the 101 machine. Going to take a spot away from the 28 Chevrolet of Gerald Heffley. Joshua Ramos in the 22 Ford also going to duck down to the inside, drop the 28 back 2 spots.
Yeah, big problems behind him. The 38 of Curtis Ajo got put in the wall by Michael Favorite. Right back here for around 11th and 12th. 62 of Ellery Queen that was just caught up in that wreck, making a good gain right here. He's up to 13th. But looking up ahead of him now, you got the Curtis Young machine, got the 51 of Justin Faulkner all over his rear bumper, looking down to the inside, looking for anywhere he can just smell his draft right now. He wants that lead really bad. The 51 who started on pole, all over Curtis Young.
I'm impressed after the 19 machine made the move for the race lead look relatively easy. How well the 51 has hung in there on the back bumper for the last couple of times by. Finally, the 19, though, starts to open it up. 3 car lengths that time, but a 2 and down the back straightaway. Justin Faulkner can't let the 19 get too far away. Once he loses the advantages of that draft, it's all over.
Yeah, good corner right there for Curtis Young. Justin Faulkner's getting that big push he had earlier in the race. He doesn't want to do that too much. Maybe the right front's going away. Maybe he pushed it a little bit too hard. But all that battling's letting Mike Donahue get right back up on him. He's 5/10 back right now, looking for more.
Donahue closed it in. It could be a 3-way battle for the race lead. That 70 machine just 0.4 of a second off, and you got to think Curtis Young should be able to get going. First car on fresh tires, clean air. There's no reason why anybody should be able to stick with that right now, but a 51 of Faulkner is still there. The 70 Mike Donahue has actually closed the gap in. That was over 0.7 of a second a couple of laps ago to within side of 4. Doesn't look like the best time around, though, that time for the number 70. Donahue's gap could go from 48 100ths at lap number 86 257 100 at 88, so he loses just a little bit of time. Faulkner still there, though. The 51 has been into the fence a couple of times, with the 19 machine has not. Curtis Young, I think the big difference between these two has been a little bit more consistent. Any sort of bobble, though, the 51 will lead him up.
Yeah, it's all going to be if Curtis Young made some mistake, and it's really not really look like it's going to happen tonight. How much of he's had a big lead tonight at one time. He's been running. He actually started the race 5th, but as you can see, I think the 51's finally starting to give up on Justin Faulkner right now. The right front looks like it's just giving him a little push on exit. He's having to baby the car a little bit more, but they're also pulling away from Mike Donahue, that's in 3rd right now. Then you go back to Tyler Roberts in 4th. 5th is Jim Locking, but if you go back here, how about David Gainforth? Started 19th tonight, up to 6th. Then you got Joshua Ramos.
And Ramos hit a cool spot. Started 3rd in this race, back up to 7th. Talked to you about the move that he put on Gerald Heffley. Heffley has since lost another position. The 20 of Eric Hawk was able to get around him for the number 8 spot. There's only 14 drivers, on the lead lap at this moment. Back through 8 seconds. Chad Payne, the last driver in that spot. And he had to back side by side with Ellery Queen at the moment at a battle for 13th position on the racetrack. That one, though, well off of the top couple of spots. Mike Donahue starting to fade into irrelativities. Back at a number 3 position, now 1 second off of the top spot. Curtis Young, Justin Faulkner, 1 and 2. It's the biggest gap we've seen since the restart.
Big problems behind the 38 spinning now. That's going to change everything up in 1 and 2. You got Curtis Aho around. He got hit by the 54 of Dennis Cook right now. He's spun out. Everything's going wrong, and that is not what Curtis Young wanted to see.
And that means he has to deal with one more restart. The caution flag is out. It'll be a restart inside of the final 10 laps to go from Michigan. Really just the exact opposite, because I think just that last time by, Curtis Young, I think, finally had the gap that he needed. He pulled the ground, and he was going to get it. And the issues with Curtis Aho, and it was a side-by-side fight. It was right in front of that side-by-side fight where we just noted for the 13th position with the cars behind them. The number 9 machine of Chad Payne and a 62 of Ellery Queen. Well, this was a battle for 11th, with Cook in the number 54 machine and that 62 machine also in behind the 38, though, Curtis Aho. High arc into the corner, 54 pushes up, he got him in the door, and it was a little bit of a tap from the 9 that sent him all the way around. This, though, I think is going to make staying out not possible because there's just too many laps.
Yeah, Justin Faulkner needs to bring it down right here. We're going to see what's going on. They're coming out of 4. The green light for pit road is open this time. So let's see if they're going to bring him in. You got Curtis Young, the leader. The 51 of Justin Faulkner, 2nd. Mike Donahue, 3rd. And Tyler Roberts. They're all coming down pit road. Who's going to take 2? Who's going to take 4? The 51 needs to probably take 4 right here, Evan. I can see the 19 maybe taking 2. Maybe Tyler Roberts, the guys who pitted the last caution. But maybe the 70 and the 51. I really think they need to take 4 right here, Evan.
We'll find out. Look at the 51 machine trying to make it side by side on the race down pit lane. The restart going to be with inside of 10 laps to go, but not the final 5. So there is still a chance of 2 restarts. Do you want 4 tires to help you out on those very short runs? Number 19 machine is in, though, to pit stall number 5. Right side's up, left side's up. It's going to be a 4-tire run down to the exit of the pit lane. Does he get a challenge? The 28 outside. Drag race and Gerald Heffley from 10th position, going to go with right side tires only and take over the race lead. Donahue off 3rd, Faulkner 4th, and Cook in 5th.
Yeah, what a good move and good call by Gerald Heffley. He has nothing to lose. Why not? Just put it up towards the front, see if you can get some quick cautions and win this thing. So good move for Gerald Heffley in the Hot Wheels machine. Then you got Curtis Young in 2nd now. Good pit stop for him, but Mike Donahue, big loser right there was Justin Faulkner. He looked like he got into his pit stall. He had to move just a little bit, maybe too far to the right there. They were calling in pit road for him. He had to move up just a little bit. So that's going to really hurt him on this restart. He's going to have to restart 4th, but it may not be so bad because you know the 19's been fast ahead of him. Maybe them two can get a big run around the outside going into 1 and 2 on the restart.
So is those 2 tires going to be enough to maybe win this race, if you will, for that 28 machine to Gerald Heffley? He's been inside of the top 10 for the better part of this race. The Hot Wheels Chevrolet doesn't have any damage on it. It's been clear, or rather it's been clean and a clear race for him, so he hasn't found the wall a couple of times, which I think could be his best friend in this one. The problem for him is the unknown. Are you going to have to go green flag racing for 6 laps to the end of this race? Are you going to have to go for a lap, have a caution, and then deal with another restart? Best case scenario for him, I think, Daniel, get 2 or 3 laps, get inside of 5 to go, and then a caution ended. I think that may be his only opportunity, because I think if you get more than 4 laps in, he wouldn't be able to hold that guy off from behind.
Yeah, Evan, I don't think it will hold out of turn 2, really, because it's just how fast that 19 of Curtis Young's been tonight. Then you got Mike Donahue behind him on 4. So the 70 could make it 3 wide going into this turn 1 on this restart. So it's going to be a crazy restart. And the 51, everybody needs to be worried about the 51. He has nothing to lose. He's locked into the next round. He's going on to Charlotte. He's got the whole bigger picture, but maybe he wants to go in there and win this race. He started pole today. Maybe he wants to start where he finished.
We'll take this opportunity, step aside for one final time. We have a restart inside of the final 10 laps from Michigan International Speedway coming up on the next side. You're watching the Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series at LSRTV at iRacing Live. We get set for one final restart. And we got 3 drivers pulling the strategy play. Curtis Young, once again, going to have to deal with a late race restart. He'll be 4th when we come back. Pace car down and away, 6 laps to go from Michigan. Green flag in the air, no tires up front for the 36 and the 38, and it was a bad restart for Curtis Aho. 3 wide for 3rd to turn number 1. Fravor can lead the way. 2 tires for Gerald Heffley up to the number 2 position, and a 19 machine now trying to find a way through. Curtis Young is going to be 4th at a turn number 2. Next thing you know, Mike Donahue is the highest running driver on fresh tires. No hope for Fravor down at a turn number 2. Gerald Heffley's 2 tires rockets to the race lead.
Now the 51 gets held up by Michael Fravor. You got the 19 hard on the gas right here in the middle of 3 and 4. He's so loose, he's on the gas so hard. The 8 car is going to get a big run on him. He's already going to look to the inside. You got the 51 of Justin Faulkner behind him. But then you got Gerald Heffley, your new leader right now. The guy on 2 tires is out front. All he needs is a caution right now to end this thing, and he's going to come out your winner. You got Curtis Young 3rd. You got Tyler Roberts looking to the inside of Curtis Young.
28 machine running away with this one. That's 70 Mike Donahue. 0.2 of a second off. Bad exit for the 2, though. Gerald Heffley loses a lot of speed. Here they come. It could be a 3-way battle for the race lead. as we come across the next time by and take just 4 laps to go. Heffley on the 2 tires, Donahue and Young on 4. The 19 restarted in front of the 70, but got caught up behind Curtis Aho on the restart, and he dropped a couple of spots. It's going to be a 3-way fight for the top spot. 4 laps to go from Michigan. First move by Donahue. He'll go high.
Curtis Young looks to the middle. They're 3 wide. Curtis Young in the middle. Here, it's not going to work. The 70 gets a real good run right there. The 51. The 51. Oh.
Faulkner all kinds of out of shape. We stay under green flag conditions. And next thing you know, Gerald Heffley's now spinning down the back straightaway. He'll come up on track and bring out a yellow. This race is over.
And I think Mike Donahue, your race leader, that's the race right there. Mike Donahue's going to come around and win the race. So, misfortune for the 51 and the 28 leads to the 70 going to victory lane here at Michigan International Raceway. I don't know if you could get any more exciting than that from that restart where the big checkup with the 38 of Curtis Aho, having the 19 run all over the back of him. See, this is what changes everything when you have people stay out. That's the great thing about people on different strategies here at Michigan International Speedway.
And it's a tough break for Curtis Young because, again, so many opportunities in this race where he was so far out in front of the field at one point by 10 seconds with 40 laps to go in this race. And, you know, it looked like it was going to work out for him. We had the car that was second in the running order earlier in this one lose the engine, and it shuffled up how the running order would be, and that was kind of what we saw here. It put Curtis Young on the outside of row 2 then. He was on the outside of row 2 for this one. Looked like it would have been good, but an absolutely atrocious restart for Curtis Aho. The 19 had nowhere to go. He couldn't pass before the start-finish line, lost the lead position on fresh tires to the 70 Mike Donahue, and I mean, even if we stayed green, Donahue looked good. Donahue could have easily been able to continue to challenge for the top spot, but I feel like Curtis Young is going to walk away from this one extremely disappointed that he doesn't get that ticket into the Championship 8, something that Mike Donahue is not going to have to worry about in 2 weeks' time at Phoenix. If he can hang on for the next 2 laps under caution flag conditions, he'll join Justin Faulkner as the 2 drivers of 8 that have locked themselves into that championship fight.
And what a big boost of momentum for David Gainforth, another chase driver. Finishes 3rd tonight. Tyler Roberts behind him, another chase driver. Finishes 4th. And this is all keeping Curtis Young out of the chase right now from going on to the next round, being locked in, actually. He can still make it on points. Going on to Phoenix, he can actually win that race. But if he gets wrecked next week, they can take the best driver, probably in my eyes, him and Justin Faulkner, the 2 leading drivers right now in this chase, out of contention, could go one of Curtis Young and make it a little bit easier on Justin Faulkner and the rest of the field.
Barring any sort of an engine failure under the caution flag, which we've already seen at least at one point here in tonight's race, this should be all locked up for Donahue. And again, a second place finish is still going to be very good news because obviously, you're going to be at the top of the bracket in the championship standings when it comes down to coming down to that last race, at least in the best possible position, to be able to advance. But that is never the same as an absolute guarantee ticket punched conversation over. So, Curtis Young, that 1 spot could sting. If you lose by 1 spot in 2 weeks' time, or maybe even in 4 weeks' time at Charlotte, that could be a championship. There is a point in these races, and I don't think it's necessarily the 19's fault in this case, Dan, as we come and take the white flag, that he doesn't finish this one out because he had the best car by far and large. Donahue had a good car, but not the best car. Justin Faulkner had a good car, not the best car. Either of those guys can deserve to win this race. Curtis Young should have won this race when you look at just how good they were over the course of the entire night. The white flag in the air one more time around to go. But when it comes down to some of these late race situations that you have no control over, you got to find a way to finish. That's what Donahue did.
Yeah, and you could call it luck, you can call it whatever it is. He was just in the best position at the right time. The misfortune for the 19 was the 38 staying out with a lot of damage, and he ran all over the back of him. There was nothing else the 19 could really do right there. It wasn't really his fault, but that's racing for you. I mean, there's no telling who can win a race when you start it. If you start the race, you have a chance at winning. Look at Chris Buescher in real life. Fog comes in. Not even rain, fog. They have to cancel the race. Maybe the rain was coming, and all that deal, but, it does not matter. If you come to the racetrack and you start the race, you have a chance at winning it.
To be the final time through turns 3 and 4. For all that happened, it came down to just one final restart on the outside of row number 2. Just happened to not be the place to be, and the place to be just happened to be on the inside of row number 3. That's where the number 70 machine lined up for that final time around. In fact, he was way back on the inside of row number 4. Come off of the quarter for the final time. Mike Donahue entered tonight in the number 5 position on the championship grid. He'll take the checkered flag alongside the yellow. Your winner tonight from Michigan International Speedway, and he is into the title fight in Charlotte in 4 weeks' time. Mike Donahue locks up that championship bid here tonight.
Yeah, he qualified second today, and he's going to come home the race winner. Good job for the Mike Donahue machine right there, the 70 machine. There's not much you could ask for going on to the next round of the chase, the last round. It's now all he has to focus on getting more practice in at Charlotte Motor Speedway and trying to get the job done there.
We'll bring it around and celebrate, and we'll try to catch up with him on the other side. Mike Donahue is your winner tonight in the Hoylman Auto Repair 200, round number 18 on the 2016 Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series campaign. He'll celebrate. We'll talk with him next on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
It was interesting this morning to come out here and get on the track and look closely at how rubber was starting to kind of take to the track, you know, where there were ruts and spots that looked still like dirt, and other spots were super shiny and had a bluish tint.
We scanned this track twice because we needed to be able to measure the differences between the track before it's raced and after it's raced. With dirt track racing, the dynamics of the track change dramatically once it's raced on throughout the race. And by scanning it beforehand, we were able to gain a baseline that we're now able to compare with the scan from after the race. Take a look at the cushion, see where it's built up, see how deep it is, and try to figure out some of these variables that we'll have to account for when we create our digital representations of dirt racing and dirt tracks. Our associate producer, Kevin Einarelli, was actually quite the soldier, and he stayed here all night scanning so that we could get this second scan, because in the morning after the race, they ripped the track up. So the window that we have to collect that data is very limited. So thanks, Kevin. So we had a similar approach with the photography of this track that we had with the laser scan. We photographed it twice. So we were able to get in here right before the race started, right after all the trucks had finished running the track in, and take reference photography of the track. And then we returned today and took another set of reference photography, and we took photos of all the various elements that we need to account for: the cushion, the groove, the areas of the groove that have received rubber, and the apron. And we have a specific technique that we use to take these shots. We are using something called photogrammetry. What photogrammetry is essentially the science or a method which will allow us to take photographs and extract three-dimensionality from them using common elements between the photographs. And it's a great technique to create textures for our racing sim, and it's something we've been doing for a while, but it's especially helpful with dirt because of the three-dimensional characteristics of the dirt and the way it collects. So it's a really good technique, and it should result in a great looking racetrack.
A lot of what I'm seeing kind of confirms what we already believed and already knew and have already started working on. So, you know, my plan is to get together with Dave Kamer and get in detail about what's going on between the tire and the road, because the ruts seem to be a significant piece of the puzzle where the rubber shows up on top of the ruts. So getting the tire grip correct on a track that has as much variation as a dirt track does is going to be key.
We know that every racetrack, every dirt racetrack is unique. Different soil compositions, different color, different types of grooves develop depending on the different types of cars. So this process that we've gone through this weekend is not going to be a one-off thing. we're going to do it again, increase our knowledge, and we'll take that knowledge home with us, and it will help us create a better version of these tracks in iRacing.
We're back live at the Michigan International Speedway. Tonight's Hoylman Auto Repair 200 coming to a close tonight. 18 races down, just 2 races to go left on the Domino's TYJ Racing Cup Series calendar. We'll go trackside, talk with your top finishers in just a moment. First, let's take a look at tonight's Domino's full race results presented by Domino's. With Domino's new Piece of the Pie rewards, you can earn a free pizza after just 6 online orders of $10 or more. You can sign up today at www.dominos.com/rewards. Mike Donahue awaits us down in Gatorade Victory Lane after he steals this one right out from under the nose of the 19 Curtis Young, who has to settle for a second place result tonight. David again for third, Tyler Roberts fourth, and Jim Locking come home inside of the top 5 tonight. Pole sitter Justin Faulkner back in a number 6 position. Eric Hawk comes home in 7th spot. Joshua Ramos 8th, Ellery Queen 9th, and Joe Owen rounds out your top 10.
Finishing P11 tonight is Michael Fravert in the 36, M&M's Toyota Camry. 12th, Dennis Cook. 13th, Gerald Heffley after that late spin he had to bring out your last caution. Him and the 51 got together right there. And then you had your 14th place finisher, Curtis Aho, the first guy a lap down, but he was also multiple laps down at that, 3 laps down. 15th, Chad Payne. 16th, Lynn McNeese. 20 laps down right here is the 17th place finisher, Russ Coe. 18th in the garage, finishing your first driver behind the wall with a DNF is Steve Cunningham, finishing 18th. 19th, Justin Anderson. 20th, Ray Richard. 21st, Gary Weston. 22nd, Ryan Steinacker. 23rd, Judd Danielson. A bad night for him after having to, he's one of your chase drivers actually, having a bad night for his chase hopes going on to the next round. 24th, Robert McFarland. 25th, Ray Sanders. And 26th is Philip Meyer.
Look top to bottom at tonight's Domino's TYJ full race results from round number 18. The driver that gets the job done, though, when it's all said and done, the number 70 machine of Mike Donahue, your winner tonight from Michigan International Speedway. We're trackside now with the driver of the number 70 Chevrolet. Mike, congratulations to you guys. That guy who comes home behind you, Curtis Young, I'm sure feels like he should have won this race. He was up in front for the better part of it, but when it came down to it, a restart inside of 10 laps to go, you beat him out of the gate and you were able to hang on. The caution flag took about 2.5 laps off for the end of this race. That 70 Chevrolet able to hang on in front. You win tonight. Talk us through those late race battles and kind of trying to navigate through those final couple of yellows as far as what the strategy was going to be pit side.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. All race long, there's some good racing up front. I thought I had a fast car all night. I stayed top 5, top 6. And like you said, it was just navigating. There's a bunch of people who are staying out, maybe some right side tires, stuff like that. Now that last restart, that was hairy. The whole outside line got checked up, and thankfully I wasn't in it. And I just I sailed her in there, turn 1, 2, and she stuck. And there's a couple cars that had some damage that stayed out, and we blew by them. Curtis made his way back, and something happened, and I was just holding on.
This race, obviously crucial in a bid for a championship. We saw just how big 2 weeks ago was at Kentucky for Justin Faulkner. He got the job done, got the win, and he doesn't care about this week or the race in 2 weeks' time because he's fighting for a championship. You guys come into this race after a solid run, but I'm sure being 5 steps down from the top of the championship standings, obviously not bad, but it's also just 4 spots ahead of the first cut spot. So you guys really wanted, obviously, to get a win here tonight, and you do exactly that. You are now locked in to the Championship 8 race at Charlotte. How important was doing this here tonight for you guys?
Oh, it was huge. It was huge importance there. We go on to Phoenix here in 2 weeks, and, well, we know what Phoenix is like. That's just a short track and a lot of mayhem. You can get caught up in somebody else's business in short order, and this was just a great win. It felt good, and we can just see how next week unfolds. It'll be a good time. It won't be any pressure. I know there's going to be a lot of drivers there who are under the gun, and I'm glad we're not one of them.
You guys go into the race at Phoenix in 2 weeks' time. You're already in that championship fight. Doesn't matter if you finish first. Doesn't matter if you finish in last position. You're still going to be part of the 8-driver championship battle. So what's the objective in 2 weeks' time?
Go out there and run near the front. We've been a top contending car for the better half of the season. Go out there and prove to everybody that I'm not just happy finishing in the top 5. We're a contender. We're going to push for that trophy at the end of the year, and I'm going to send a message.
We hope that you guys have good luck in 2 weeks' time and maybe another trip to Victory Lane wouldn't hurt that much to keep the momentum going. Mike, before we let you go, the sponsors, the shout-outs, who do you want to give a call to down here from Victory Lane?
I want to thank Domino's for putting this all together. I want to thank you guys for coming out and broadcasting it. I'm glad you guys are your quality's getting better there. I know you guys had a bit of a rough go, but that happens. Kevin Fetty, he's always been in my corner. I want to thank him and all the admins at Domino's. We're a pretty tight group, and I just want to thank everybody who spent some time putting in the effort to race and watch tonight.
There's no better time to break into Victory Lane than late at a championship fight. Mike, again, congratulations to you. Best of luck going into Phoenix, and hopefully for you guys, we'll talk with you, if not there, when you guys go championship racing in Charlotte a couple of weeks after that. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
The winner tonight, and he was actually able to drive into Victory Lane here at Michigan International Speedway on the front straightaway. The number 70 machine, Mike Donahue, gets the job done. The driver who is on the other end of that conversation is Curtis Young. He comes home second. David Gainforth, we'll talk with in a moment, comes home third. Daniel Eberhardt going to be trackside with both of those drivers. First, though, with the driver of the 19.
Yeah, I'm down here with Curtis Young, a dejected Curtis Young at that. Curtis, you come home second today, just a little bit short of locking yourself into the next round of the chase, the final round at Charlotte. Talk us about your race.
Well, I didn't get the qualifying time that I wanted to, but managed to start in the top 5 still, and race was going pretty good. We had a couple green flag runs and a couple cautions, and I was liking the green flag runs. Seemed to be the fastest car out there when we were on green runs, and short runs there was definitely a few people that were sticking with me. Would have liked to see it go green though, for sure. At the end there, that final restart, I don't know, we just outside line never got going, and I thought I might have still had an opportunity to get up there and pass Mike, but the caution came out, so that ended that.
Well, that final restart of the race right there, there was a huge checkup with the 38 actually restarting second there on the outside right in front of you. Did he not get through the gears right, or what happened there?
I'm not sure what happened with him. I know his car was pretty beat up earlier in the race, and I think he got most of it fixed, and I know he stayed out he stayed out from that previous run, so he was on older tires than everybody else. I don't know if he spun or if he was in the wrong gear or what happened, but yeah, it definitely caused a big checkup and kind of screwed any chances I had getting the win, unless we made it to the end there. But that, like I said, that caution just threw things off.
Who do you think had the car tonight that it actually could either run with you or had something that could actually be a force to be reckoned with at the end of this race?
Justin Faulkner for sure. I think he got into the wall and got a bit of damage, and he seemed to be a lot faster than me on the long run for about, or on the short run for about 10 to 15 laps, and then I'd start reeling him back in. Ryan Steinacker was fast, and then I saw him pitting a bunch of times, so I don't know if he damaged his car and had to fix that, but those two guys for sure were the ones that I thought had the chance to beat me.
Well, going on to the next race now that you still didn't get locked into the next round at Charlotte, do you feel like you have a good shot of going into Phoenix and actually getting the job done there, or do you just want to get out of there clean?
I want to try and win, obviously, but I've got 2 second places in this round, so any solid finish there should get me through to the final race, and that's the big picture, so that's all I'm worried about for now.
Well, Curtis, with your second place finish for talking to us, do you have anybody out there that you want to thank for the race tonight or anything like that?
Yeah, all my buddies at JLR Motorsports and Eric Hawk, Cracker Joe Designs. He paints all my cars, and he's a good buddy of mine, so thanks to them. My dad for watching every week. All the admins and Robert and Domino's TYJ Racing, and you guys at LSRTV.
Well, that right there is your second place finisher, Curtis Young. The two Canadians sweep the top two finishing positions tonight, and I'm going to move down just a little bit to your third place finisher tonight, David Gainforth in the 101 Chevy SS. David, looked like a crazy race out there. I think you've seen cars wrecking around you. I think you've seen cars spinning behind you. It was a crazy race for you, Mr. David. How was the race out there tonight? Was it crazy?
Yeah, you pretty much summed it right up. That's a good word, crazy. I kind of used a few different words during the race, but right from lap 1, I was involved in that first caution. I got put down a lap because it said I passed a car there on the restart, and I was the very last car, so iRacing kind of screwed up there a little bit. But, just kept her going, kept my head in the game, and Christmas came early for me. I got a third tonight. It's my first interview with you guys, actually, all year.
Yeah, with that third place finish, David, looking at the front of your car right now, I bet that face on that car right there was the face you were making this whole race trying to get your way up towards the front of the field. But, you started 19th tonight, so it probably wasn't the best qualifying effort that you've ever had. And you come home third. That's big gains going on to the next race at Phoenix, and you're also in the chase right now. Do you feel like you can go into Phoenix next week and give a good run for the money?
Oh, I think so. You mentioned qualifying. To start my night off, I hit the wall the very first lap of my qualifying. So then I quickly exited and tried to put in another lap, and that put me way at the back. But yeah, I like Phoenix next week. I'm usually pretty good there. I don't know if it's the open dog leg or the closed one. I'm hoping it's the closed dog leg, but if it's the open one, we'll make the best of it. And I plan on making the finals there at Charlotte in a couple weeks. So.
Do you feel like you got a good shot if you go into Charlotte? Do you think you put in enough practice and everything? Do you think everything going into Charlotte, knowing that, this is pretty much the first track once you buy the sim and get everything done there, Charlotte's you get with the sim, do you think you have a good shot going into Charlotte?
I'll be honest, I'll need some luck. I haven't beat Curtis Young too often this year. He's pretty dominant, as you know, everywhere we go. There's a lot of fast guys. You never know what's going to happen, though, just like tonight. And, 5 laps to go, I was 8th and ended up 3rd, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we know in racing, luck is highly involved. David, for you talking with us tonight, who do you have to thank out there that gets the job done for that Cartoon Network Chevy SS?
Well, I want to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do an awesome job every week, covering the races, both the trucks in here. Robert for putting this league together. It's a really fun league. It's a very competitive league. I really enjoy being here every Thursday. I think this was sponsored tonight. The race was. I'm sorry, I forget. Some Hoylman Auto Repair, I believe, was the sponsor for tonight. I'd like to thank them and all the other sponsors this year, and of course, carrying Fred around for half a year. I've enjoyed having Fred Flintstone on the hood of my car too. So.
And that, folks, is your third place finisher, David Gainforth. And like he said, David Gainforth said, crazy was a key word tonight, and maybe some other words we can't really speak of on the air, but tonight was a crazy race.
It was most definitely crazy for a couple of reasons, and I think that Mike Donohue won the race because it was crazy. Curtis Young loses the race because it was crazy. One more caution here, one less caution there, and I think that the top 3 or 5 could be a completely different set of drivers, but the way the cards fall tonight, it has Mike Donohue at victory lane. We preview Phoenix International Raceway. In 2 weeks' time now, there will be 10 drivers vying for the remaining 6 spots in the championship. Justin Faulkner with the win here tonight, or 2 weeks ago rather, and Mike Donohue with his win here tonight are the drivers that have locked themselves into that championship. Guys with the good results here tonight, Curtis Young, one of those names, should be well enough away from the cut line. So with the exception of maybe a meteorite falling on their car on the grid, they should be okay. May not necessarily be mathematically safe. There's still a chance that anything could happen, but they should be good going into Phoenix. Other than that, though, you have the 4 drivers that are going to be below the cut line, and I would say even, Dan, the top 3 above that cut line, drivers in position 7, 6, 5 in the championship standings, are not going to be feeling very comfortable at all. And like I noted earlier, Phoenix is a small track. It's a short track, if you will, and it lends itself to some wild and sometimes physical contact, which could be, I think, very interesting when you get down to the final 10 laps in that race in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and definitely if it has an open dog leg, that's going to be a crazy race at Phoenix. You dive all the way down the back straightaway, can dive all the way to the wall, gain about 3 spots, but then you give a little bit more time once you cut the wheel back to the right, can make going into 3 and 4, a crazy 3-wide racing at Phoenix, and maybe even sometimes I've seen 5 wide there sometimes. So you never know what can happen at Phoenix. Phoenix is kind of like, to me, like a mini Talladega going into turn 3 and 4. You could be 4 wide at one point, going all the way down into the corner. And it tightens up really bad going into turn 3. It's probably going to be a lot of wrecks right there.
We know that it's going to be an exciting one, and we hope that you join us in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, we've already seen the Domino's TYJ Dented Defenders Truck Series wrap up their championship, so we do have every other Thursday off here on LSRTV at iRacing Live. If you want to take a look at our entire broadcast schedule, find out the next time that you can find us here on iRacing Live, you can find that on our website at livesimracing.com. You can also stay up to date with us on social media. Our Facebook is facebook.com/livesimracingtv. You can also follow us on Twitter at LSRTV. That does it, though, here tonight from the Irish Hills of Michigan. On behalf of everybody at the Domino's TYJ Racing League, for Robert McFarland, Bucky Burt, Judd Danielson, Kevin Fetty, Mike Donohue, everybody else behind the scenes for putting it on, you can go to dominostyjracing.com for more information. On behalf of the entire team here on the crew at LSR TV and also everybody else behind the scenes. For myself, Evan Pasoko, for Daniel Eberhardt, and our producer, Cisco Scaramuza, I want to congratulate Mike Donohue as your winner tonight in the Hoylman Auto Repair 200. He joins Justin Faulkner as the 2 drivers locked into the championship. We'll meet the other 6 in 2 weeks' time. We'll see you at Phoenix.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.